Go. Okay, so real talk, what I wish I knew about hormones, weight, wellness, and power before 40. I call it the pause because there's menopause, there's perimenopause, there's postmenopause. It's like,
Right.
okay, it's a whole kind of mesh of things.
Hmm.
And before I turned 40, I really thought I had everything figured out, to be honest. Then suddenly my body just changed all the rules and everything I knew stopped working. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit about who I am, what I went through. I feel like this is a highlight reel though, so I am going to share some real life stuff with you all. But like, I owned a fitness studio called Tone Today for 15 years. So I had my own storefront. I had a full staff and we personal train, clients. We had a Pilates reformer training as well. And then we did like bar classes. And I loved it, but I found a few issues with it after 15 years. And one of them was that, women think that because they're working out, they're going to get those results. And so they'll join the gym, kind of do it for a while, and then realize like it's going to take a lot more. And that's what I also noticed and learned, especially as I got older. So I sold my gym in 2021 because I had this business and that business at the same time for like a year. And I thought, my heart just is really more into the hormone space, figuring out the reason why women aren't losing weight and then how to kind of get all those things working for them. And so then I've wrote two books. So I have a cookbook. It's kind of more of a protein based lifestyle cookbook. And then I also have one called Toned for Life. It's more of a success story, kind of that honest A, it's not A to B on any like story of success. It's like I had five kids, I was really busy, and then I was having a career and I was starting a business, and then a lot of people don't trust women, and it was a whole thing. So I wrote a really cool book kind of about that, about my story, about what having a business is really like. And then I have five beautiful boys. My youngest is 16, gonna be 17. So, oh my God. And my oldest son is 33, gonna be 34 this
Oh,
summer. So,
wow.
yeah, so we have like a whole lot going on there. Not only that, but like a little neurodivergency in our family, things like that.
Mhm.
So it's totally good, but I've definitely gotten my hands dirty and I love being a mom. I really love fitness. So I've been working in this field for 25 years in some way, shape, or form. I started lifting weights when my oldest son was doing Taekwondo at the YMCA. And I was like, why didn't anyone ever tell me about lifting weights? Like, I thought you had to go on the elliptical and sweat. It's like, no, you can go lift weights and like start to chisel your arms and stuff. And I've done everything from aqua aerobics, body pump to Olympic lifting, CrossFit, and I'm even a black belt now in Taekwondo. So it just,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, it's like physical. I love all of it. And then I'm a big biology chemistry geek. So I'm one of those, I can't find my car keys, but I could tell you organic chem. So that is totally me. I really love nutrition. A lot of people say I want to do things holistically, and I'm like, that means with food. Like that definitely means with food. And I love the power of food. Like selenium, is in a Brazil nut. Like there's just the power of our food. So I
Yeah.
really like that. I like to see authentic women. So I try to open up that space like I'm just myself so that other women can feel and do the same. Lady boss for sure. But like I said, I
Mhm.
kind of want to share. I definitely had anorexic tendencies. I was a teen mom, and I think one of the big things that I heard a lot of is like, if you keep your baby or if you have this baby, you're going to be overweight and you're never going to travel and you're never going to do this. And so I was hell bent on not gaining weight, and that I didn't, but I had like, I would say anorexia kind of to a point for a good part of my teens, and I had to kind of overcome that. Also, I would say I have pretty strong ADHD, so L-theanine is my friend and structure and whatnot. So
Yeah.
just being real with you guys, like it's not all roses, and we've definitely had our ups and downs. So that being said, let's kind of dive in. So, hormones, metabolism, and why your body feels different. So, have you ever heard eat less, move more? Like for,
Yeah,
okay. And like,
quite a bit.
yeah. And have you noticed that, do you know where that study came from of the eat less, move more movement?
No.
So it came from a study. It was basically a group of college age men they did this study on, and they found good results. But if you think about college age men, I mean, like I have a 19-year-old who's here for living with us for the summer. I have my 16-year-old. They don't gain weight. It doesn't matter what they eat. And so yes, if they ate less and move more, they biologically are in such a good spot, they're going to lose weight. And so the problem with that is now they've kind of turned that into everybody's diet and said, this is how it works. If you eat less and move more, you're going to lose weight. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you won't lose weight. But I have found there's a lot of caveats with that, big time.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like for years, it's been our standard advice. And I worked with the most disciplined women who are not eating enough. And the real challenge is most women were never taught, why their bodies change. And that leaves them really frustrated and confused. And so this is that silent shift that we were never told, we weren't really warned, and I think we all think we're going to get away, without the weight gain and stuff, right? When you're younger, you're like, yeah, that ain't going to happen to me or whatnot. Well, there are things like, despite living a healthy lifestyle, women frequently experience a range of symptoms like disrupted hormone rhythms. So, birth control and IUDs can unintentionally mask or alter natural hormone patterns. So, I can't tell you how many times I've gone in, looked, at a Dutch test with an IUD or somebody who's been on birth control, and there's a whole host of things. It's very hard on the body. So that can happen pre 40s. And then we have PCOS and insulin resistance. So PCOS has
Mhm.
just been renamed. I don't know if you heard that or not, but it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it emerges like what happens is they have too many androgens, and sometimes testosterone production can be too high. So that brings out insulin resistance, which means your fat cell has a cover on it basically, and it doesn't matter how much insulin goes out to take the energy from fat or from food, it doesn't really work. So then your body says, okay, didn't really get the energy, I'm going to put out more insulin because we need to get that, and it
Mhm.
happens again. So suddenly your body says, okay, I don't know what to do with this, so I guess I'm just going to store it as fat, and guess where it goes? Around our middle.
Mhm. Of course, of
So,
course.
of course, yeah. So we're getting more and more belly fat. And so that's usually one of the first questions I'll ask women is like, are you gaining around the middle? Are you getting belly fat? And so that's usually a symptom of starting of insulin resistance. And so also unexplained weight gain. So stubborn weight that resists diet and exercise efforts starts to happen. And that could be from under eating for years or having stress levels that are too high. Also, just the stress of your hormones, like estrogen declining, progesterone kind of being everywhere, can also cause that. So, irregular cycles, unpredictable periods, or severe PMS that goes beyond typical discomfort can cause this. And then we have our mood swings and our anxiety. And it's not just like your typical, it can be very severe where you might be crying, like you might get social anxiety. There's all kinds of things that happen. And far too often, these early warning signs are dismissed as normal or met with quick fix medications that mask things that cause it like to become deeper. So for PCOS, for instance, the doctor will, prescribe birth control. So it's like, okay, we already have too high of androgens and now we're doing that. And then they
Yeah.
don't test. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of become like the Wild West. And I do think in some ways we're getting better, in some ways we're getting less and less time with each patient and it's getting worse. And so just kind of that low energy, cravings, crashes, anxiety, inflammation and joint pain a lot of times is
Mhm.
associated with, different hormonal things, and even food sensitivities can come from histamine intolerance. And sometimes our body starts to get erratic there too. So there's a lot of different things that can happen. And then poor sleep also contributes. So it's kind of like this vicious cycle, right? Uh,
Gotcha.
have you had any of those things? Like, are you feel like you had shared a
I've
little
had
bit?
everything on this list right here I'm looking at.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we should do the test. Like, if you have 1 to 5, like that's, yeah, definitely. And
Everything on here I've had experience as we speak.
okay. So the anxiety, mood swings, cravings, low energy, the joint pain, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not a failure. And that's really what I'm trying to voice to most women out there is that it's not that you're not disciplined, it's not that you failed. It's really a clear indicator, though, that there's some type of hormonal imbalance. And so
Hmm.
what actually helps and supports our hormones are things like strength training. So we're always talking about that because maintaining that muscle mass helps boost metabolism and protect your bone health. So now I'm working with women in their 60s, 50s, 60s, beyond. And a lot of them are like, yeah, I kind of have osteopenia, the start of that. Or they've gone on a GLP for a while and then they've lost weight, but they've also lost muscle. Or they're taking a lot of classes, and I'm not against that, but typically that's not a true hypertrophy program where you're actually building muscle mass. And so as we get older, as we get over the age of 35, actually, our muscle mass will decline, each year greatly. So it's really important to maintain that strength training. And they've even talked about the correlation with the size of your thighs to how long you're going to live. And so that makes some of us with bigger thighs feel a little better. It's like, oh my gosh. But that is definitely a correlation to longer life, and that tells us that muscle mass is just so important. The next one I want to kind of talk about is that proper fueling. So, nourishing your body adequately. I think that was the hard part about having the gym is that we knew the strength training piece for the most part was taken care of, but we didn't know about the proper fueling. And so that's where I feel like, wow, 80% of our hormonal health and things like that kind of goes with how much muscle mass we have, what our nutrition looks like, and it's not all exercise. So I'll talk to so many women who are like, oh, I exercise, I do all the right things, and I'm sure they do, but they also don't want to gain weight, so they'll tend to undereat. And that kind of gets into a whole other myriad of issues. So making sure you're getting enough food. A lot of the plans that most of the women I work with that are overweight are not eating enough. And that's the crazy thing because they're like, well,
Mhm.
I'm supposed to eat less, move more, right? And it's like, yeah, but that doesn't really pertain to you, especially because it's hurting your hormones. The next one is that blood sugar balance. So keeping your blood sugar in balance. So as we're seeing that, insulin resistance is starting, you want to keep your insulin in check. So that means starting out the morning with energy levels, adequate protein, whole foods as soon as you can, even before the coffee hits your mouth. So I know that's a whole other one, but that's another thing that I think women get confused about often is they are, oh, I'm intermittent fasting. Like I thought I wasn't supposed to eat until noon. Well, I just have my coffee and water. And that also is kind of working against women's hormones. So it's very confusing for sure.
Mhm.
Cycle alignment. Have you heard that before about like intermittent fasting and all of that for
I did hear
recreating?
about that, and I was like, well, honestly, I don't think I can not eat these three 3 times a day. I don't see it happening, and I'm like, I really thought about it. I'm like, I can't do that. So I never tried it.
Okay. Yeah, and that's good, Sabrina. Like, I feel like that is a other, big kind of issue is that also screws up our hormones. And I was kind of surprised because there's a Dr. Mindy Pelz. I don't know if you've heard of her. Um,
Mm-mm.
Welcome everyone who's here to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat if you'd like to. Well, she's kind of works with Dr. Mary Claire Haver, and like she's really into the hormone thing. And I was just really surprised because it's all about intermittent fasting. And I just thought, I have women who just don't eat enough, and now we're asking them to close down their eating window, and it's like, whew, that's going to cause issues. So
Yeah.
yeah, so keeping that blood sugar balanced, and then cycle alignment. So optimizing workouts and lifestyle choices for your hormonal phase. So it really, really is dependent. So here's a quick little backup. Do you kind of understand, Sabrina, like how our cycle works? Like, have you kind of gotten through this before where you know when estrogen, progesterone, what happens in menopause?
No, I have not.
Okay, so I'll do a quick overview of that because I think it's helpful. Um, there, hey. So what it is like basically when we're younger and our cycle starts, our estrogen will go up the first 1 through 14 days. And so we see that increase of estrogen. And it's kind of when your skin gets brighter, you can have a little more carbs, you can deal with stress a little bit better. But then we go into day 14 to 28 of our cycle, and that's when progesterone, that introverted. So I'm just going to mute just because there. Okay. And I want to hear from you. It was a little bit loud. So the day 14 through 28 comes in, and that's when our introverted sister comes in and she takes care of bone health. And kind of underneath the scenes, progesterone helps you sleep. There's a lot of good. And so when we go into perimenopause, though, we start to see that progesterone drop, and then the estrogen becomes erratic. So this is when your body can't deal with a lot of stress because it's already under a lot of stress. And so that's when you could start to cycle alignment. So you could eat a certain way based on where you are at in your cycle. And then fast forward to menopause, that is kind of when you have no progesterone and no estrogen. So both of them are gone. Your twin
Oh,
sister
wow.
hormones. Yeah. So your body is like, hey, help, I'm in a whole lot of stress, especially now you'll see things like stomach acid goes down, the gut lining starts to thin out. That's your immune system, your brain health.
Mm.
And so there's a lot that happens that's really scary, but it can be preventable and you can do things. But you have to understand your body is in a serious evolving situation. And so having like gut and detox support is really important to aid in critical hormone elimination, detoxification pathways. So that's where that Dutch test kind of comes in and shows us, what is going on there. And then hormone testing. So we want to gain clarity to have those precise insights. Like, are you on HRT, Sabrina, or?
No, I was talking to my functional doctor about that, and he did not want me to get on it because I think it increased blood clots.
And do you have a history of that in your family?
I don't. But
Okay.
then when he told me that, I was a little terrified. I'm like, oh geez. So I have not, and I will be talking to him tomorrow morning. So that had was introduced from my GYN to do that, and so when I went to him and talked to him about it, he was like, I don't suggest that. Well, then suggest something because I feel like crap.
Right. Yeah, I guess I disagree, and that just because if there was a history of blood clots or breast cancer, maybe then I'd say, yeah, we need to kind of find another option. But yeah, so testing your hormones, it gives you a lot of clarity and helps you make a really good decision, and not
Yeah.
just like a blood test. So I'll explain more about that. But there's more advanced tools out there now that really help our women get clarity and understand their body. And so, in peri, like I talked about, it can begin as early as 35 to 40. So if you're like, I'm too young for this, you might be surprised. And that's when we get rid of that testosterone, our cortisol starts acting crazy, our insulin starts shifting. So it's like all of a sudden everything you did kind of goes out the window, and sleep changes, recovery slows. And that was me. So I did all the things. I literally was an IFPA Pro Bodybuilder at the age of 35. So my body was in peak physical condition. I loved working out. I was very disciplined with my food. I understood carb cycling and how to work with women's bodies. And then all of a sudden, my body stopped doing all the things at 42. So basically, the scale froze, my energy tanked. I would wake up tired. I'd crash out by 2. I would drink more coffee because I thought that would help. I felt scared. Like I blamed myself. Like, why can't this just work, what I used to do? And I remember doing planks in the gym, and I always had great abs, and suddenly I had like this tire and I could feel it, like you go in the bathtub and it was like, what is this? What is this? And it was all going to my middle. But my body was not betraying me. She was actually evolving. And so I love to think of it this way because it is traumatizing, but it is not the end. It's not going to ruin your life. There are ways to work with it. It just isn't probably going to be eat less, move more. There's going to be more things that we need to look at. And so in order to kind of do that, we have to understand that pushing harder when our bodies need us to listen is diet culture, and it tells us to eat less, move more. Hustle culture told us to that rest was lazy. Perfectionism told us our worth was tied to our weight. So those are all things that I think we need to get rid of because we pushed, we restricted, we blamed, and when it didn't work, we thought, I need more discipline because that's what I did. I was like, okay, I need to do more cardio because I'm gaining this belly fat. So I started doing spin classes. That was like around the time Peloton was starting to come out. And I was like, okay, I'll
Mhm.
do 45 minutes of that. Plus, I'll do my strength training. And then that really wasn't working. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to cut my carbs. I'm going to go to keto. I'm going to do 50 grams of carbs, and I'm going to do, 130 grams of protein, and I'm going to track everything. That didn't work. So then I was like, what in the heck gives? And it all had to do with my perimenopause, but also adrenal fatigue. So I had basically fatigued my adrenals out well before I started those Peloton classes. And so I didn't know it, but nothing I was going to do was going to work until I took a step back and let my body heal. And I needed to eat more. So this was one of my clients, Mindy. So she was also in perimenopause, and she came to me saying, I eat no carbs. I do 45 minutes of cardio a day. I still can't look the way I want to. And so she was a country music singer. So it was really important for her to look good. So this woman was disciplined, and I believed her. And so most of our times we started, talking about we need to increase our weights, we need to eat more, including like fiber rich foods. We balanced our hormones instead of fighting with them. And now you can kind of see the difference. This girl gained her confidence. She kept her muscle. She looked amazing because her body was never broken. It just really needed the right strategy. And so that's what we did. And so here's kind of our hormone story. What's really happening inside is our hormones aren't broken, but we do have our GLP-1, which is our fullness signal. And so that's what a GLP does. Basically, it slows down our digestion so that we can slowly digest food. You don't feel as hungry. Well, that's natural to our body, but they're pushing it up as you take a GLP. And then there's some things that can go wrong with that too. If you're taking too much or if you're constipated, that can all kind of backfire. But this gut hormone tells your brain, I'm satisfied. After we turn 40, it turns down. It really weakens. It makes you hungrier, less satisfied after meals, and kind of that craving thing starts. And so that's a real thing. The other thing that happens is our blood sugar boss, the insulin, starts to change. So as your estrogen starts to drop, our insulin resistance rises. So your body stores a lot more fat, especially around the middle. Third one is this cortisol. So our stress hormone, our chronic stress keeps cortisol high, which signals our body to hold on to weight and crave comfort foods. So it's kind of like first we got the GLP, bam, then we got the insulin, bam, then we got the cortisol, bam. And then the fourth dropout is this estrogen, which is our master regulator. So as that declines, your metabolism slows further, sleep suffers, and mood swings intensify. So this is why the discipline of eating, less, moving more is not going to combat all these things. It really is about like understanding where they're at, how to work with them. So this was that frustration loop that just kept me stuck forever is like I restricted calories, I skipped meals, I felt virtuous. Then I would push harder in my spin classes, ignore exhaustion signals. Then I'd feel worse because energy crashed, craving spiked. And it wasn't always like the next day. Sometimes it was like day 3 or 4, like I can hang on and do it.
Mhm.
And I felt worse. And then you get on the scale and nothing changed anyway, or you went up a pound. And so then you kind of blame yourself, thinking like, okay, I'm just going to do this on Monday. I'm going to do better. And the cycle just continues to repeat. So here's the truth. It's just not your willpower. It is your chemistry. Your body's responding exactly as she should to the wrong strategy. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah. Serena's like, yep. And then, hi there. I didn't get your name in the chat. I just want to say hello. I know we were kind of going at our workshop when you came in. Do you want me to unmute you or do you want to just introduce yourself in the chat? Okay. I'll take a look. But it's really about having not the right strategy. And so another client I worked with had something called Crohn's disease. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I have. Hmm.
So that is like basically tier 4 that like I say there's tier 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm functional medicine certified coach as well. And so
Oh, okay.
yeah, so like personal trainer, owned the gym, and then just kind of like moved into functional medicine for the hormone piece. And then now I own a telehealth company that has doctors with HRT, peptides, all of that. So we kind of have a fully encompassed program now where we can run labs. And then I have a team that works with me. But Judy had tier 4 gut dysfunction, and she exercised for 5 years at our studio. And she never really lost weight, but she always was working out. And so that was a good thing. And she'd always say, you know what, at some point I'm gonna, work on this. And then it was like once we did a GI map and we looked at her Dutch test with her hormones, and then we got the proper strategy, she lost 60 pounds that next year.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was just profound. Like I think we were both shocked because it was like, gosh, I didn't realize you had gained so much weight, like in that first picture and then to the second. But it was so life-changing, like literally watching her shop for clothes and have fun with it and enjoy her life. Like Judy was always kind of hiding behind her workout outfits, like her baggy clothes, and she just never got to really do that. And then she had the time. Her daughter got older and she had the time to do it, and then she started to look really good and wanted to do it, and it was like she got to find her style. And I can't tell you how fun that is for her and just for those of us around her, but I can tell you she is someone I can attest was doing the work. It just we didn't understand the assignment. So
Right.
once we did that, like her body, wasn't broken. She just needed a new strategy. So, no need to fix her, just basically understand how to partner with her body. Because the same intensity that worked at 30 now starts to backfire at 40. And what your body craves now is balance and nourishment and rest, not deprivation and punishment. How old are you, Sabrina?
I'm 50. I'll be 51 in August.
Okay, yeah, and I'm 50 as well. We're the same.
Mhm.
And then on the call, so iPhone 3, you'll have to pop your age in the chat just so I kind of have an idea. But when you honor your hormones, everything starts to shift. So your energy returns, your mood stabilizes, your body releases weight naturally. And I can attest to this because at 42, I was gaining weight, looking crazy. I spent the next, year, and even now, I still have to work on eating enough, getting enough protein, but I literally don't see that weight gain going all over the place and
Mhm.
stuff. And
Mhm.
so it's really about not having control, it's about alignment. And so that is the biggest shift. And so, how do you figure this out? So let's decode your hormones. And one of the tests that I rely heavily on for almost every client now is the Dutch hormone test. And it really helps us understand your body's evolving needs because instead of like guessing, we test. And the dried urine test is basically a way to show us what your body is metabolizing with the hormones, not just the levels, because levels can change on a day to day basis. And so that's kind of the argument for most physicians. They're like, well, what happens on a Monday, we don't know. 2 o'clock on a Thursday, it's going to be different. Totally right. But what this looks at is a 24-hour cycle of what your body did with the hormones. So it makes it a lot different. And so we get to see your sex hormones, your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, your adrenal hormones, your cortisol, your DHEA, all in this one test, and also their metabolites. So, like what your body did with it. So, a lot of ladies are on HRT and then we do the Dutch test, and you can see, is your body even utilizing that? And so it's really convenient, it's non-invasive, and it's an easy to use at home urine collection, basically, that gives us a full day hormonal snapshot. And it translates complex hormone data into actual insights for tailored nutrition, lifestyle, and supplements. So that's, definitely a test that I like to go to. And then the other one is called the GI map test, which is your gut is often called your second brain. Have you ever heard that,
Mhm.
Sabrina? It,
Yes, I definitely have because I do have issues. I've had SIBO more than once.
you have.
Yes.
Okay. And
And I don't know, I may have it again. It's just seem like I'm never ending when it comes to my stomach. Because I know what, like 70% of our microbiome is in our gut, I think.
yeah. And so what the thing is with SIBO is I feel like most people, doctors, functional med, and you know how functional med is like, and
Mhm.
I love functional med, but it's also like they're lawyers because every time you go to them, it usually costs money. They have a lot of
Mhm.
supplements they're recommending. They do try to get to the root of it, and they can kind of tell you why, but they don't kind of go back, especially with that piece of the gut health if someone had H. pylori or if they had a gut microbiome or SIBO issue, why did it
Mhm.
happen in the first place? And that's so
Right.
important because if you don't cover that ground, it's just going to grow back. And so you can
Right.
eradicate it, you can do a spore-based probiotic to help things grow back, but it will just creep up from the colon to the small intestine if you don't fix whatever created it. So that's really important. And so what it can we can look at in the GI map. So did you have a GI map done, Sabrina?
I've had so many tests done. Um, I forgot what it's called. Um, it was I got to, I've had so many tests done, but it was something to check to see if you had like a stomach infection. See, that's how I found out I had the SIBO. I've had the test done to see if I had Crohn's, to see if I also had, was it what's it called?
Pylori. Yeah, H.
Yeah, I
pylori.
didn't have that didn't come up. They said those were negative, but I was still having this infection in my gut that
Yeah.
would seem to be not going away.
Yeah, and I have some good ideas, honestly. So, yeah, outside of this, we could do a call because like it's yeah, I because when your estrogen is gone, then it really impacts your stomach acid and it impacts your stomach lining. And so that's what
Yeah.
makes you more
Okay.
susceptible to
Never
getting.
knew that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah. So in my functional med cert, I studied under Rachel Shear, and she's really good. And so a lot of the concepts she taught me, and I feel like that was amazing. The way, like, she not only goes through the root, but also, like, well, how do we prevent? So that to me is amazing. We can
Mhm.
also look at inflammation, digestion. So it's a stool test, and
Mhm.
it looks at your digestive function, and then hormone harmony. So we uncover that gut dysbiosis that can directly interfere with estrogen metabolism and hormone regulation. So there's a lot tied up in your gut, but how it kind of starts is the estrogen decline. So it all has to do.
Last time I checked, I was estrogen dominance, which I have forgotten what that means.
Yep, yep, I can tell
Yeah.
you. Yeah, so what that means is for two reasons that happens, like in perimenopause, like I said, the first hormone to drop out is your introverted progesterone, gone. Your estrogen stays. And so now you have no progesterone and you have all this estrogen. And so that creates dominance, or you could also have dominance because basically your body's not detoxing correctly. So we can see that in the
Mhm.
Dutch test. And so there's
Mhm.
three estrogen pathways that you want to see. And the 16 is kind of the bad one. Then we have the 2 and the 4. And so you want everything going through the 2. And if that's not happening, that can also cause dominance, which in a lot of people, they'll see like lower body fat gain at first, but then eventually creeps up to their stomach too.
Mhm. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So, yes, I'm obsessed. Like, I love what we do. It's really amazing. So, you can get rid of this stuff. It really, you can. So, this is how we're going to step into your power era. So, I guess it's the four foods or four food, the four F's, starting with food. So protein, fiber, healthy fats that help you stabilize blood sugar and support hormone production. Number one. Number two is fitness. So strength training, intentional recovery, and I'm talking about 2 days a week. It doesn't even have to be a lot. It just needs to be happening so that you have that push on your body of hypertrophy workouts that are tearing the muscle fibers. They have time to rest, grow back stronger, have enough protein to grow. You're going to be good. The next one is femininity. So having that self connection, boundaries, joy, because rest and pleasure are part of this protocol. And I think as moms and women in general, we give to everyone else. It's kind of like when you talk to your girlfriend and you're like, I know what she needs. I'm not going to tell her right
Mhm.
now, but she needs this and this. She needs to stop stressing about that, taking care of everybody, and just get that done for herself. You can
Yeah.
see it real quick. But when it's ourself, we're kind of like, I can go one more day. Or,
Yeah.
yeah, like, I don't know if I want to buy that for myself. Like, it's just, that's what kind of creeps in. Like, I talked to a woman who owns her own business, and she has like kids that are depending on her. And then she's debating whether or not to invest in her health. And I'm thinking, whoa, like I can see it, but it's hard for us as women. So having that, like, I deserve it, I get to have it, I get to say no just for the hell of it because I can do that is really a big part of this. Taking your control back and then flow, stress management, making sure you have time for quality sleep that allows your body to heal and reset. So there, it's all kind of the anti move more, eat less. Uh,
Yeah.
and so, when estrogen, cortisol, and insulin are out of balance, your body stores instead of burns. And so, our Tone for Life method helps women reset hormones, lose belly fat, and feel like themselves again without restriction. So, I can't tell you enough. It's not about eating less, it's about eating in sync with your hormones. And so, before you're feeling stuck, bloated, tired, after energized, lean, confident. I just had a woman sign up on the back end with me today, and she's lost weight. She feels better. She's heading into retirement, and she's excited about her life. And those are the kinds of things that you can create. So these are kind of some biohacking, doing like red light therapy, infrared sauna. So those kinds of things are also very helpful for the body to support fat metabolism, enhance your insulin sensitivity, and just an overall central nervous system reset. So
I have a
basically,
question. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry.
no,
Because I will forget.
yes,
um,
I'm the same way.
well, um, when you said what I was about to say, acupuncture.
Yes.
Does, how do you feel about that?
So I think the meridian, like that definitely can help you to kind of reset and feel better. I think it's definitely good to, something you can do kind of more on the Chinese medicine kind of,
Okay.
yeah. But I definitely think, is that something you're doing or thinking
No,
about?
I was thinking about it. Well, just yeah, I was thinking about it because I am a public school teacher. Yay! Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. You are. That's so Carla, the girl I just was talking about, she just retired as a math teacher, public school
Mhm.
teacher today, like on Monday.
Oh wow.
And I
Okay.
worked with her the last 4 months, and she has just killed it. But so, yeah. So her stress level, now I'm like so excited because we're going to keep working. And now she doesn't have school. She doesn't have, I'm like, if you don't sleep in, Carla, I'm gonna, like,
Yeah.
as your coach, go sleep in. But anyway, so you have access to acupuncture or,
Well, my regular doctor, my primary doctor, suggested it because they have one. They have that program with through the one of the hospitals here in Michigan, where they actually have that I can go, but of course it's out of pocket because insurance is definitely not going to pay for it.
okay.
Um, um, and I've been putting it off. I have been putting it off, so I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely helpful. I mean, especially if you have like achy joints, that kind of thing, for
Mhm.
sure that acupuncture can help with that. And then the infrared sauna are, good too. Like all of these tools kind of work together as a symphony to,
Okay.
basically support gut and liver detox pathways, and then customizing and reigniting your plan, so you can have sleep, sex drive, and fat loss all start to come back naturally. Um, and so we have the midlife hormone mastery method, which is a 4-month roadmap to finally getting results. So this is kind of what came out of having the gym, working with women, building my own business, having 5 kids. I birthed basically the 4 month. And what came out of that is like, I think women need a therapist, they need a personal trainer, they need a dietitian, and they need a functional med doctor in one that communicate, and maybe some Chinese med. So month one, we do a test and reset. So we do an onboarding call, and I basically spend a couple hours making a 4-month blueprint for them. And then we start with the anti-inflammatory protocol. We order their Dutch test, their GI map, and labs are ordered, and they start losing inches in weeks, and even before we get the results back. But month two is more about decoding and dialing things in. So we got those lab results in hand. We possibly start some HRT or peptides added if needed, gut detox or the 4 Rs. So basically working on that gut health and metabolic work activated based on your own data. And we do calls every single week. Like we talk, we figure out like what's your life looking like? Okay, what did we get done? How many inches did we lose? Did you take your supplements? Like all of these good things. And I call it our acceleration phase. So that's like when they start losing weight and starts picking up and going really good. And then months 4 is more of that optimize, lock it in. So weekly coaching results are pushed further, root causes addressed, hormones balanced, gut is healed, and it's your new kind of maintenance. Like, how do we keep all of this? So we don't really treat symptoms. I consider everything that you kind of talked about, Sabrina, and like what I talked about as symptoms. So instead, we say, okay, are we losing weight? Are we sleeping better? Is the energy coming back? Those are all signs that the symptoms are coming back and we're getting better. And so, yeah, that's a big part. So I want to offer that to you on the call. And I also, everyone on the call today or watching the recording, it can book a free call with me, and I'm offering them a Dutch test for free with our program, which is kind of crazy and awesome at the same time. So they get that Dutch hormone test. Um, so if you'd like to schedule a call, we can schedule it now, or I can send you the.
Yeah, we can schedule it now. Mhm.
Okay, what does your schedule look like this week or next?
So next week is next week is good. I'm pretty much available anytime after 1 o'clock.
Okay, and I'm in Minneapolis, so you're in Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think we're in the same time zone. Are you Eastern or
Yep.
Central?
Eastern. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So Eastern after 1. How about Tuesday? We could do
Okay.
like a 1 or 2.
2 o'clock is fine.
Okay, so 2 p.m. And yeah, so you get
Oh,
that
you
out.
know what? Take that back. Just do one
Okay,
o'clock. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. 1 p.m. And then if you need to change it before then, just let me know.
Okay.
I'll set that up for you, Sabrina. But I just, kind of like to end with saying, you know, like self-care is really giving the world the best of you, not what is left of you. And I think even at 50, it's just hard to absorb that. And you said you have kids too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have one, but he's on the spectrum.
oh, okay. So my 16-year-old is as well. We'll have so much to
Mhm.
talk about. Oh my Okay. Yeah. So my 16-year-old is, and then I have a 24-year-old that has the same. So yes. And yeah, so we can talk about that a little bit too. But
Good.
yeah, that means I think us moms who got more going on, we need a little
Yes,
more
yes, yes.
love. All right.
Indeed,
Well,
I agree.
any thoughts or questions, Sabrina?
Um, no, I'm just looking forward to our call on next week. I am.
Awesome. Well,
I'm
it's been
hopeful. I'm hopeful. Yes.
I'm hopeful too. Yeah, but don't do anything with your other you let's we'll talk. So we'll kind of I'll lay out everything we can figure out because yeah, I'm curious more. I've got so many questions, but okay.
All right. Thank you. You have a good one.
Thank you. You too. Have a good
Bye bye.
night.
You
Bye.
too. Bye bye.